Hi, Ellen. Of course, and thank you again. So one of the things that I said in yesterday's video to Ariana is that next time when you are sending videos, I want your list A to be the complete list A in one video, with you thinking carefully about, so how am I going to connect these two, like the prelude to the fugue, and have it feel like I just breathed and went on with another section of the same piece? How am I going to move my hands fast or slow between those two movements? What about between the second and the third movement of my Mozart? Like, these are the things that we now need to actually make part of the presentation, is to think of those elements as a single unit when we are performing. So that's the first thing. And one of the big things about that is right now, I do not hear your first count one. Now, I realize that it's a rest, but there needs to be either something visual or oral that makes us go, like, there has to be something. Some people do the with the, and you can hear it. Some people do the, just like somebody who is going to be playing on a violin. Or actually, I have accompanied flautists before. And when I am doing something of an advanced, like grade 9 and 10 examinations to accompany them, one of the things that they have to do is when they're like this, they actually have to do this to actually let me know that they're ready to start, especially if we have to start on the same note together. Like, really, we have to know where our beat is. And so there's that little visual for her to give to me. And then, of course, it is accompanied with a breath in, because flute can't be played without a breath. Well, in an ideal situation, you would feel the same thing here, that you would feel obligated to breathe and lift so that we have that extra feeling. Now, coming off of that prelude, you will need to give thought, so up here, that you've just done So you actually do need to plan and practice the last two bars of the fugue going into the first two bars of the prelude going into the first two bars of the fugue, so that that transition is actually something that is really carefully thought out. So that's first things. Bar 15, I would like your right hand 16th notes to end up softer. You did a nice decrescendo in 14, and then when your left hand came in mezzo forte, your right hand was a little bit too firm. I don't want your left hand firmer. It was nice. I just want the right hand 16ths to be less. In measure 8 and other places, you have the 16th note subject in the left hand, and we are in different dynamic levels. And what happens as the dynamic level gets louder, the strings have a wider vibration path. So that means that when we play soft, it's easier to sound clear because we don't have as wide vibrations. And that when we get to louder and or lower, because it's loud and low, where it's a real challenge, we have to make sure that we are working really hard on the leggero touch, so that when we do, so your right hand is actually starting to get it, so that it's not quite, it's like you've got to get, it's 99% legato, and that's a good one to go for. It's not easy to do, but it's a good one to go for. So now you have to match up the left hand to that exact same articulation and tone quality, and then to do it in all of the different dynamic levels. So even sometimes taking G major scale and even do one octave. One octave is enough. Do it legato. So that was legato, and it was basically mezzo forte. So now let's do it legato, but we're going to start soft crescendo to a mezzo forte and then come back down. And then I made sure I had a rounded lift. Now let's go for the crescendo up, decrescendo down, and a leggero touch. So there was a slightly different sound to each one of those things. And so practicing all of the subjects in all of the keys next to each other, playing it with the hand that has it and strettos at the same time, if you've got two melodies at the same time. You need to actually put those next to each other and not play the in-between, like the links and the episodes, because I can connect those dots, and you guys need to have no notes between them in order for you to do that same thing too. In measure 31, okay, so I'm going to backtrack. In measure 24 to 25, last time I was talking about bum, 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 and how this needs to be up, but it needs to be soft because it's actually the end or the resolution of a suspended moment. So I got to say, 25, lovely. 27, terrific. 31, whoops. So you had several in a row, even the one in 29 was good. But 31, suddenly that B was too loud. So I think it sounded even louder because the ones before it had been better. So that one stood out to me. 34, the alto quarter note is not being held. I need to be able to hear. So here I should hear that overlap. And then let go of it. So work on that, because that is something that holds the root of the chord over until the root goes into the bass. So it has to do with harmony, of course. Bar 40, your first note of your subject is not being announced. So we are doing a little bit of a crescendo. So maybe for this week, let's take out the crescendo. So in measure 37, 38, 39, instead of, because I'm not getting with that E suddenly being a lot louder than the F sharp because we're crescendoing. So let's take the crescendo out. Sort of thing. So work on it without the crescendo, and I will take pencil and scribble that out so that I know that that's what I said to you. In 44 to 45, I would like even more and make sure again that thumb that I really hear as a quarter note, and you hold on to it until you lift for this guy, and then they lift off together. I'm feeling like it's off before the left hand is off, and in that way we don't get the singing quality. 49 to 54. Oh, this was me writing down, I liked your terracing and the leveling of your trills. They were delightfully clear, but really in the background. So you keep that up because that's what we wanted. In 56, the forte. So the terracing of the next line wasn't quite as effective as the terracing was in the previous line, but I know you're getting there. So I would do like mezzo forte in 56 for the right hand, then mezzo piano in 57 and piano in 58. And 59, you want to stay soft and quite whispery. So this is another, this is where, because we're starting up in the treble clef and then our hand is getting lower and lower and our right hand actually goes into the bass clef territory, it can actually start sounding overlapped even if you don't change how you're playing the note. So we actually, if you're really trying to... So in there, even though I was leggero, you could still hear when I was doing the lift that was the staccato, that was the end of a little sequenced motive. But yeah, when you get down to here, so when you start that trill, it's actually quite soft. And then that's a so that this is the spot that is taking advantage of the piano, not the harpsichord, and really pulling that out and start going right back to soft. Actually, I think that was a better. And 61, 62. Yeah, it was the crescendo, decrescendo there needed to explore a wider dynamic range. And then after that, I enjoyed your conclusion. So again, on here, Can you play it at half speed with the metronome going by memory? Can you pick it apart in different places, going backwards, forwards, and inside out by memory with the metronome at even slower or a little bit faster? Or we need to know that regardless of what speed you choose to begin with, that you can maintain it. Now, we'll be doing this by recording, but it has to be a continuous recording. So if you get through your first 3 pieces and then your 4th piece isn't as good, but you continue out, it literally is up to people. I know some people for grade 10 that they taped it 6 to 8 times before they got the one where they were happy enough that all of them were holding together. Because I had one person call and say, I always muck up one. And I was like, well, hang in there, practice slowly, and try it again. And she did, and she got her first class honor, so ultimately it worked. But for a few weeks there, it was very frustrating. So I often say to people, start practicing your recording like 4 to 6 weeks before, so that if it turns out that the last week of Christmas break you are nicely relaxed because you haven't gotten into the whole bit where you're getting ready for the next set of exams and going back to school, that would be close enough to the date that you're supposed to upload that you could use that one. So it's pretty cool. We've got a little bit of flexibility this year, and I think that is the other reason why I was like, I think we should take advantage of this. Yeah. Okay, bye-bye for now.